The representative of Kuwait has asked for the floor to make a further statement. I give him the floor, please.
شكرا السيدة
Thank you, Madam President. Of course, there are on many occasions, the representative of Syria has mentioned Kuwait. And honestly, you have accused many Kuwaiti parties, Kuwaiti institutions. You usually level these accusations during your statements, and that is your right, but it is also our right to reply. These accusations are baseless, are false. And once again, as he has done now, he has mentioned that the Salafi movement in Kuwait is supporting a faction. I believe you said the Guardians of Religion, Huras ad-Din. This is the first time we hear of such a movement. But to be honest, there is no Salafi movement in Kuwait supporting any faction. We have charities with a specific religious affiliation, but the Kuwaiti government can state unequivocally that they have nothing to do with factions or movements in Syria. These charities are only providing funding for humanitarian purposes, similar to our efforts when it comes to the Syrian dossier. Therefore, we have hosted 3 conferences in Kuwait, and we were among the first countries to support the humanitarian operations by the United Nations, and we supported Syrian refugees and migrants. I thank you.
Representative of Kuwait for his statement. Yes. The representative of the Syrian Arab Republic have asked for the floor to make a further statement. I give him the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. When we talk about countering terrorism, we are talking about countering terrorism based on a suffering that lasted for 8 years, that claimed the lives of thousands of Syrians, that destroyed our infrastructure. When we talk about terrorism and we say that this person is Kuwaiti, Egyptian, Australian, this does not mean we are accusing the governments of these countries. We are drawing the attention of these governments to the presence of people sponsoring terrorism in their countries. The Salafi movements are known throughout the Gulf, not just in Kuwait. You have Salafi, Wahhabi movements influenced by the Wahhabi ideology in Saudi Arabia, and this is known to the Kuwaiti government. For years, we have proven unequivocally that members in the Kuwaiti parliament, for instance, who are a part of the Salafi movement, I can mention 2, Tabaqbai, for instance. Can you tell me these are not Kuwaiti nationals? These are 2 members of the parliament. One of them remains a member of the parliament, and another one is a former member of the parliament. There are clips on several social media where these 2 people urge the slaughter of Syrians on the basis of religious affiliations. We talked about a Kuwaiti officer. The New York Times had an article in 2013 about this Kuwaiti officer. He said he sent $400 million in cash and weapons alone. A petty officer in the Kuwaiti army. The representative of Kuwait forced us to mention names. There's another Kuwaiti terrorist called Al-Jalami, one of the many terrorists active in Syria alongside Saudis, Egyptians, and others. This does not mean that the Kuwaiti government is sponsoring terrorism. No, we are simply drawing the attention of your governments to nationals from your countries coming to Syria. They're not Syrians. These are foreign terrorists, and it is our right as Syrians to fight them and expel them. If you are concerned for these nationals, take them back. As we have said in our statement, take these monsters back to your countries. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Syrian Arab Republic for his comments. The representative of Kuwait has asked for the floor to make further statement. I give him the floor.
شكرا السيد.
Thank you, Madam President. I apologize for asking for the floor again. As I have mentioned before, I have really tried not to respond to the representative of Syria so that we don't go into these arguments for one reason. We need to focus our discussion on the item on the agenda, and we should not divert our attention and look into other matters that are not under discussion today. But given the fact that the representative of Syria mentioned this matter time and again, we were forced to respond. And as you have seen, the Syrian representative has mentioned this individual, Al-Mutairi, several times. He was covered by an article in the New York Times 4 or 5 years ago. So he still recalls an article from the New York Times about one individual. I would like to tell the Council this individual called Al-Mutairi, he does not exist. This is a last name. It is a tribe in Kuwait. We're talking about 2 million individuals. So to be honest, this information that he is basing the statement on from the New York Times, I do hope that you will give us a document from the United Nations or any other international report from the Secretariat, credible reports, and we are prepared to respond regarding any individual with proven accusations. We do have a judiciary in Kuwait, and we can prosecute any individual. I believe that one individual is designated on the list, and we took every possible measure against him within the Security Council. If you know of any other individual that perpetrated crimes against the Syrian people or perpetrated an act against the Syrian people inside the Syrian territory, please provide us with this information. Or you can actually resort to the Sanctions Committee established pursuant to Resolution 1267, and measures will be taken against these individuals. And as the Council has said, any individual listed on the UN list, all measures will be taken against them. But we cannot just level baseless accusations against individuals that are not even present with us, based on articles from the New York Times or other newspapers. Why not refer to reports from the United Nations? At least we can say that UN reports are neutral, independent, and unbiased. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Kuwait for his statement. The representative of the Syrian Arab Republic has asked for the floor again. I give you the floor, I hope, last time.
Inshallah.
I hope so. Madam President, to be honest, I was more concerned about Kuwait than my colleague from Kuwait, because I have said we are not launching these accusations against the government of Kuwait, but my colleague insists that these statements are false. And therefore, our doubts are in place. We must not support terrorism pursuant to resolutions from this very council. We do not just talk the talk. We have provided these names to committees countering terrorism. We are walking the walk as well. We're not just talking based on articles from the New York Times. Despite the importance of these articles, if you have a tribe of 2 million people and they're all terrorists, this is a problem. If you have 2 million people holding this name and they're all terrorists, it's a problem. It's a catastrophe. No, we are talking about one individual that is an officer in the Kuwaiti army that is involved in terrorist acts in my country. This is not just the talk of the New York Times. We have provided your sanctions committee with all the necessary evidence. And when we asked to include Shafi al-Ajami on the list of sanctioned individuals, Kuwait opposed that. I thank you.
Thank the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic for his comments. Would you like? And I give again the floor to the representative of Kuwait.
شكرا السيد الرئيس وأمل.
Thank you, Madam President. I do hope that this is the final time that we will ask for the floor. Honestly, it is unacceptable for the Syrian representative or others to imply or to overtly accuse that Kuwait of terrorism. I would like to rectify this information that he has mentioned in his latest statement on Al-Ajmi. Just so you know, he is listed on the sanctions list of the 1267. He is listed, he is designated pursuant to a decision from the Security Council. Back then, we were not a member of the Security Council to oppose it. Thank you.
Thank the representative of Kuwait for his statement.